presentation. And first, I'd like to welcome everyone that is joining now. I saw that some more people joined. Welcome to the Sunken Blimp Stage. Feel free to come closer to the stage. We're about to start the presentation. And if you have no idea what this is about, this is where we host presentations every week on different topics. And today we're in the last section of the fashion series. So if you're into fashion, feel free to, stay in and enjoy. And today we have a very, very special guest to close off the series with us, Karina Ochoa de Baker. And Karina, if you guys don't know her, she's a digital fashion creator with over 10 years of experience. And she works on projects to take fashion to the virtual world to make the production chain more sustainable, dressing digital identities to promote cultural heritage and inclusivity. So, Karina, it's such a pleasure having you here with us. You know, and I'm so excited for the presentation. Take it away, it's yours.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. It's really exciting, to be in these virtual spaces, to share with people all around the world, to be able to bring my students in a field trip, like we were saying, and just having more and more beautiful spaces where we can interact and share what's happening so that we can grow together. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about identities in the digital world and how that search for identity and what the consumer, more than consumer users and creators are looking for, it's migrating to the digital spaces because that's the reality we live on. Like the society has evolved so much in their use of technology and the pandemic and all these remote work situations. I even teach a class remotely, has made us migrate to these digital spaces. And as humans, we want to represent who we are in these virtual spaces. That representation is very important. Everyone should have a voice in these spaces. And we all should strive to look for the search of that identity in real life and also in this virtual space. So let's begin. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the growth of digital fashion and the impact on the fashion industry. We're also going to talk about that search of identity in the digital world, the impact that community has in brands, and the future of digital fashion. It's kind of funny to think. Recently, I just gave a talk about the future of fashion is actually now. We see all these big things that are happening in the digital industry of fashion, but we already have to look for a more advanced future. So it's already more things coming and we're not even understanding yet what's happening. So it's important that we start to, inform ourselves about all these advances and start understanding how to understand the future of the industry. So first I want to start with this slide. This is how the supply chain, like the range of fashion happens. Without 3D, we have to develop all these samples, and that is not sustainable nor efficient. Migrating to digital technologies is very important, and it only happened during the pandemic out of necessity that we have to start to creating digital samples. This technology has been there for many, many years, but the fashion industry was kind of very resistant to what was happening. So it's very important what it's been happening with the pandemic, but also the big boom of use of virtual environment allowed all these virtual samples to use samples for pre-production of physical garments, but also understand all of this happened during the pandemic. And now the digital fashion product as something completely different, a garment that can be worn in spaces like the one we are today. So the digital fashion is expected to grow to $7.3 billion by 2024. So just in less than 2 years, we're going to see a massive growth of digital fashion because of the use not only in the physical production of fashion, but in the digital spaces. So it is a big, important part that we have to understand how to use it for all of the industry and beyond. There is new opportunities for virtual fashion shows and experiences. this is one of those experiences where we can interact in virtual worlds and understand fashion and experience fashion, use fashion. But we're also seeing the migration of digital fashion weeks towards these spaces. We see digital concerts and all these virtual spaces, even video games that are played in metaverses. We all have a digital identity. So digital fashion has a big opportunity in all these spaces, and it's really important. It also gave us like a greater experimentation and creativity. Using these technologies, we don't have limits about what we want to create. We have all the materials, all the possibilities, and all the tools necessary to create whatever is in our imagination. And the only limit is achieving those skills. So I just need to prime my skills, achieve the skills, understand the process to create whatever I want. It has a lower production cost and not need for physical inventory. So what I was talking in the beginning, digital fashion started as a solution for efficiency and sustainability in the industry. And this is very important why the brands are using this technology in-house to produce their garments, but also migrating those digital samples into virtual spaces. And brands are also starting to use the blockchain technology to create unique, verifiable digital clothing items that can be bought, sold, and traded like physical clothing items. It is very important how the blockchain is giving an opportunity to the brands to expand their business, not only in the digital spaces, but also to authenticate physical items. For example, you trade a bag, a luxury bag that you created, sneakers from the very beginning, and you will know it's authentic. You wouldn't have to deal with fakes. This is an example of where we start with digital fashion. It was for creating these samples that we're going to go into. Then we start using these items to sell in websites. And then we start seeing that digital fashion could be like live on its own. And it doesn't have to be a representation of what a physical item needs to be. It doesn't, like physics don't apply to it. We can dream of whatever we want and any material and make a garment out of it. Sorry, I didn't realize this one has audio. So I'm just going to skip through this. This video was a co-creation with Browsware, a few independent designers and luxury brands for Vogue magazine in Scandinavia. So it is important to see how these physical garments, their recreations of luxury brands, can actually have a different use in virtual spaces for a virtual campaign dressing a virtual influencer. So the uses of these garments that are digital now have a different meaning because we start seeing the use of them for different platforms and different uses that we didn't understood in the beginning of what digital fashion was. I'm talking about the avatars and these virtual personas like Ada, the virtual influencer just saw. We realized that we are all having this virtual identity. We spend around 145 minutes in these virtual spaces nowadays, and that is only going to grow. New generations, younger generations understand the technology so much more than us, and they want to be in these virtual spaces creating deeper connections. They're looking for that identity and how to represent it through social media, through TikTok, through chat rooms. And these start like even with millennials, Gen Z and Gen Alpha have a bigger engagement in these platforms. So as fashion designers, fashion creators, and brands, we have to start to reimagine what fashion is, what the product of fashion actually means. So I can go beyond to the physical characteristics of the real world. I don't need to think about gravity to create garments. I can interact with my garments through social media, through augmented reality. And I feel like augmented reality is one of those tools that is very accessible for everyone. We can use it through social media. We can use it in our phone. We have our phones on us every single day. So for people that maybe don't like to interact in virtual works and virtual spaces, using augmented reality really generates a lot of value to the platforms that they are already engaging in, like social media. Then we have digital-driven fashion. And we see that digital fashion is having such a big impact in actual fashion in the real world. Through all the fashion weeks since last September, we see a really big increment of how the digital fashion and the digital aesthetic is influencing the in real life garments, which makes it way easier for people to just want to own and wear these digital pieces on social media as part of curating that virtual persona. And when people want to go beyond and start interacting in spaces like spatial, for example, we start dressing our avatars, we start carrying that fashion through these virtual worlds, curating that digital identity and deciding what we're going to wear. So in those terms, it is very important to start thinking about interoperability. If I am dressed like wearing this garment today, I most likely will want to wear it in another metaverse or another space. So interoperability and creating meta clauses to curate that digital identity, it's really important. 1.7 billion mobile AR users by 2024. I think this is a massive important data. I don't want to show too much data in this presentation, but I think it's really important to see how much people is engaging through augmented reality. Many people don't even realize they're using it. We all, I feel, if you're in social media, you're using the filters of Instagram, the filters of TikTok, even if it becomes a trend. You kind of want to be able to use that because maybe it relates to the identity you want to portray. Maybe you find it funny. Maybe it makes you feel you're part of the community. So brands need to start to understand that this is way more engaging than an ad. And consumers and users want to engage with this technology, use the AR filters instead of watch an ad. And those interactions with augmented reality have a 94% rate in conversion rate towards purchase. When a person is trying an accessory that you have and you're selling in real life, if the person tries it in augmented reality, you have a bigger possibility of trying it in real life because they can actually see if they like it, if they don't like it. But we see now more and more, and again, with younger generations, the desire of owning these items. And some of these items are, maybe there is just a specific number that is out for sale in a platform like 010 or Filter that are apps for augmented reality filters. So people will want to own those specific items, especially younger generations. And we also see that concerts in real life events are having a lot of augmented reality experience for people that are in these events in real life. But they also have the possibility to share this experience with people that are not at the event. And the engagements for these kind of experiences is really high with augmented reality. We also have not only to redesign or reimagine what the fashion product is, but we also need to rethink the meaning of a brand. Brands like Nike, the Fabricant, so physical brands and digital-only brands are starting to rethink the meaning of the brand. Not only what the brands want to be seen like in 3 dimensions through this virtual world, but how do they engage with the community? How do they allow the community to be part of the creation? So we see Nike with Artifact and also That Swoosh. That Swoosh is an inclusive digital community and an experience and a home for Nike virtual creations. They're opening this platform for co-creations with all their users, which I think is really amazing. And we're going to see a little bit more of one of the examples of their first co-creation with the audience. And then we also have brands like the Fabricant, which is a decentralized digital house building a wardrobe for the metaverse, using the blockchain technology of NFTs and allowing their community to co-create the garments. This is a digital space. So we are seeing that the brands are migrating to the metaverses and opening these experiences for everyone around the world, including their community. Like we have before just these pop-up kind of situations where capitals of the world get the best experience, but then the other community couldn't enjoy it. In the metaverse, everyone can be part of these experiences. We have experiences like, and this just happened, London, Paris Fashion Week, and Paris NFT, New York Fashion Week, where we start to see the rise of experiences in the metaverse and digital fashion weeks. And we have all these in real life experiences of digital creations where the audience can actually start understanding fashion from the digital perspective. This was in New York, and we see the more common startup brands like Psyche, which partner with Calvin Klein and a few designers, emerging designers in the digital spaces. And they also have this in real life launch event for holders of their keystone. This is the example of that swoosh. This is one of the winners. They posted this to their stories, and then they are co-creating one of the first that swoosh Nike sneakers. And not only they have this platform and help co-creating, but they also receive a monetary fee for their creation, which I think is really amazing, given that opportunity of monetizing your creation to everyone in the community. And lastly, we're going to talk a little bit more about the future of fashion. I feel like the future of fashion resides in artificial intelligence. We are seeing in the past 4 years a crazy increase of the use of this technology. Specifically for the fashion industry, the way we're using it is to come up with concept developments of our creations. We nowadays can even start creating 3D models of what we want to see, and we can have all of these product reviews through artificial intelligence, and we can just tell them what we want to create before we even create it. And I think it's very important to ensure that we're creating the best quality products, that everyone in the team is aware of what we're creating. We all have that information, and then we can create it. We can also automate repetitive design tasks that we have in our workflow. And this is, again, very important to focus instead of the process of creating and fixing all of those issues in actually creating the best product we can for our consumer. And we have seen Valentino, big brands like Valentino, even use artificial intelligence to create campaigns. This is an example of what the 3D meshes and 3D objects look in artificial intelligence. We are not quite yet to the point that we have to replace, like, for example, you see all the models around this stage. Those I created using a software for digital fashion. So we are not quite yet there, but we are getting very close. And it doesn't mean that we're going to replace those tools. It just means that it's going to potentiate what I can do on 3D. If I can integrate this artificial intelligence into my workflow or creating garments with the softwares I already use. And we have examples like DressX, one of the major digital fashion marketplaces, helping the community understand how to use AI and actually asking them to co-create new garments with them through the power of AI. They use Midjourney, one of the most popular AI platforms and tools, to create fashion garments that they are going later on to produce for people to buy as NFTs or use as augmented reality garments. Sorry again about the sound. We're all part of that community. And for me, it's very important that, through this conversation, we understand that it is time to co-create. Representation in that search of digital identity is very important. So everyone around the world should have the opportunity of co-create, of participate. And the beginning of it is understanding what is happening, how I can be part of this digital transformation and revolution of the fashion industry? And how can I make sure that my perspective, my culture, my heritage are part of this new era of fashion design? Thank you. That is everything. And just wanted to tell you all that we have access to tools and technology to reinvent the work. And now if anyone has any questions, just let me know. And if you want to contact me, here is also my Instagram.
Karina, what a beautiful presentation. First of all, I want to thank you so much for speaking, showcasing your work, and a little bit of this vision of what the future of fashion holds for us, right? I would like to officially open the floor now. If anyone has any questions, any of your students, any of the other guests here with us tonight, and feel free, anyone, to raise your hand. If you prefer writing something in the chat or a message, commentary about the presentation, feel free to do so. I would like to kick off the rounds of questions while everyone is thinking about one, and actually pick your brain on something that you mentioned, even this idea that the tools are allowing more and more people to create. Even the very first diagram that you showed, how utilizing these technological tools allows us, to optimize the process. And now we're seeing more creators have this platform that they can showcase their artwork and their designs into something that is useful, right? People are using, for example, in virtual spaces. So now more creators have an opportunity to be a part of this. And I wanted to know your positioning into thinking, hey, if historically, right, people are using pieces of fashion to showcase identity, and before there was a higher barrier of entry for people to create their designs, so we needed to select the brands that are available, that best represents us. And now we're having more creators, therefore more options of how to display ourselves, how to showcase our identity. I wanted to know your vision for the future. Do you think we're going to get, this number of creators producing is going to get closer to the number of people using fashion, meaning that it's going to be more of everyone can create their own outfits? Or is there a limit to, hey, no, there's a difference between creators and users of fashion? It's kind of a misty type of question. It's not a yes or no, but I wanted to know a little bit of your opinion on, who gets to create fashion in the future.
I think we all already get to create fashion. If you see around the room, you don't see anyone, even in this virtual space where we still have limited options of what we can wear. Everyone is wearing something different. Even if they're wearing the same outfit, their avatar don't look the same. And that's because even in real life, we are styling and wearing all different. Hi.
Anybody here?
Yeah, plenty of people come to the stage. Hi. We're all styling all these pieces already, and we're showing.
Why can't I come out of the circle?
An identity.
We're having a presentation now, so everyone is asking a question at a time. You're more than welcome to come join us, but Karina is answering a question now. Sorry, Karina.
No, don't worry. So, we already have, I believe everyone is a creator already in any space, even people that may consider themselves fashionistas.
Well, there's a lot of people in one spot. Okay, bye, person.
All right. I'm sorry about that.
I think we can continue. It's okay.
I think
that's okay.
I think the social rules. It is. It's actually an interesting question, right? The social rules about being in a virtual space, because in a physical space we're way more afraid of stepping on stage or speaking in a room full of people. However, in a virtual space, especially younger generation, we feel more shielded.
Younger generations.
Yeah, we feel more shielded, and I feel like a lot of kids that grew up, like let's say through high school, they went through COVID. Like the pandemic changed a lot of interaction, especially because we all experienced virtual office or virtual school at some point. So it's actually interesting to think, even designing virtual space or virtual interactions, thinking about those social constructs. Anyways, I digress. Back
No,
to what you were
that's
saying,
okay.
Karina.
No, I think that's 100% right when you're saying it. Understanding the way younger generations think, especially as a digital like fashion designer, I need to think that I am designing for many generations and how they understand the products that I'm creating and how I am presenting them in all these virtual spaces. And as you say, making sure that the experience is enjoyable for everyone, for every target audience is really important. Going back to the identities, I think we are already in our real lives curating what we wear. Even if people don't consider themselves fashionistas, they're still choosing outfits to represent maybe a simplicity, just a t-shirt and a pants, depending of the pants and sneakers and t-shirt you're wearing. It will say a lot about you more than you even think. So everyone has already that creative mind, whatever it is that they want to communicate through the fashion, they're already doing it. And I just feel like all brands should open up their doors for allowing the user to express themselves the best that they can, because we are just using what is already made. All this technology allows us to use things beyond what is already made. So if you give the possibility to anyone to choose a garment, they will. And to prove it, as I said, everyone that is in here has a different garment because they were given the choice to use, to pick their avatar when they enter this space. So co-creation is important for everyone. The skills are going to be different. Artificial intelligence is important because allows everyone to be part of that creative process without having all the skills. But if this is your profession, if like you just want to be a digital fashion designer or a fashion designer in the industry, you will have to nourish those skills, and then you can create beyond what a user of digital fashion is creating. And that's also important.
Beautifully said. That is amazing. Yeah. Anyone has any other questions? I got plenty. I can go for days. You're gonna tell me.
So I would like my
Yeah,
students, if you guys want to come up here and say anything, like even just your opinions of, we just started the semester. They are in the first level of all this class. So I would love to, like even hear your thoughts. It doesn't have to be a question, but like, what do you think about virtual spaces and, designing digital clothes?
yeah. I got a question. Do you know if there's been any joint releases of real world fashion and virtual fashion?
Yes.
So that,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you have seen in the news and noticed that it's with all the big major brands from Nike, Adidas, Birkin, Gucci, and I can go on. All of them have gone to file patents for NFTs and digital product creation because first they're already using the technology to create digital samples. So they have massive libraries of products. And they're seeing that they can migrate products into virtual spaces. Because they have such a big following, Hugo Boss recently just launched one, Adidas has, Nike has launched NFT releases like drops that have a physical item and a virtual item, or they just, like Hugo Boss released their imaginary ones, NFTs, and it was just digital, and then they drop a lot of physical goods like hoodies and hats to the holders. Adidas launched an NFT that was the NFT plus a tracksuit. I think that was 2021, if I'm not wrong. And then we see a lot of younger brands. Today, Monastery is launching an NFT that comes with, I think you can get 2 physical pieces from their collection, and then you get your NFT, you get a piece that you can wear in the central end, and you get access to their in real life events. So a lot of brands are starting to think, okay, what can an NFT be? It works in the blockchain, so you know that the person that bought it has that access. You get physical goods, you get virtual goods, plus you get access to events and special drops. So it's a lot of functionality that you can have in a garment. The fabric and dress sets are launching items, not physical, but you can have the token piece that grant you access to in real life events. And then you also have not only the NFT in your wallet, but you have an augmented reality filter that you can use in a snapshot. So functionality for these pieces is amazing. Like basically also the sky is the limit about what you can do with NFTs for fashion. And it's really interesting seeing what you can do.
Have there been any like simultaneous launches where something is launched both in the metaverse and in real world at the same time? So that would be like a linked launch. So you interact with the real world. And
yeah, so the Centraland Fashion Week last year, many designers were there. One of the example is Tommy Hilfiger. They launched an NFT that you could buy only during the event, and they have like a beautiful stand. You could buy a jacket, and then you could wear it right away in your avatar, and then it will ask you what size you are, and they will ship it to your house. And then on top of that, there were a lot of like physical in real life events during that week, I think in Europe and also in New York. And then they have an augmented reality filter too that you could use. And that was, I don't think was part of the NFT. I think that was part of just visiting the Decentraland space. Another example will be the pop-up store of Ferragamo in New York. If you visit the store, you don't even have to buy a physical item. But in the pop-up store of Ferragamo in New York, they have this installation, and you can co-create your NFT with artists that they were collaborating with, and you can connect that to your wallet just by visiting the store. And then they also have an NFT for sneakers, which was like a separate thing. But a lot of brands are implementing the tech.
Great.
I think, it's very important, as I was saying, we need to realize what's happening. And I invite everyone to just follow their favorite brands that are working in the Web3 spaces on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and keeping an eye what brands are doing, bigger brands, smaller brands, digital-only brands, because it is a new business model. It's a lot of creativity going on. And there is a lot of things you can apply to your own drops and launches.
Absolutely. And being aware of what is going on in the world and the different movements, I think it's crucial, right? And I just wanted to bring light, and everyone in your class probably already knows, and you too. Even one thing that I wanted to mention is the opposite direction, right? The movement that is going, I wouldn't say against, but in response of these digital tools, right? For example, the big red boots, which I think many of us might know what that is. We've seen everywhere. The idea that look at these models on stage, how the fabric, the physics of fabric is perfectly simulated. Each fold, it's true to reality in a way, and now we have Unreal Engine displaying lighting to photorealism that is indistinguishable from like an actual video. All of that happening in the digital world, and then in the opposite direction, this movement in fashion that is bringing in the cartoonish, the fashion that doesn't make sense, doesn't look real, into real life. What do you think about this counter movement in a way?
I think, fashion has always been a representation of what's happening in history and society. Digital words are a part of our day-to-day, and many collections, we see them inspired by pixels, the Astro Boy boots that we just saw, the one, like the red ones. And we see even garments that look like the skins for video games all around fashion weeks. So that is just a representation of what's happening. We have to understand, like we do as fashion designers have a role in what's happening in all these virtual spaces, but also in real life, because we are also we're in search of that identity and what it means. And we're trying to push those boundaries and be like kind of rebels, like rebelling to the system and all the things that we're not happy about the fashion industry, like inequality, lack of representation. And we just want to push all these boundaries and see where we can go. So I think it's natural. I think it's going to keep happening. I think we're going to start seeing, even with the advancements of materials and the actual implementation of technology, like wearable technology and what it can do for us. So I think we're going to see more of a boom of that and how we can connect what's happening in our garments to our phones and maybe track our movement in real life for a filter of augmented reality that moves like seamlessly with our bodies. When we start wearing augmented reality glasses, we're going to have a lot of people having specific garments, like designer garments that you can only see through augmented reality and for the people that has those glasses. So it's going to evolve so fast. It is already doing it, and we just have to be prepared. Hey everyone, I don't know
Karina.
if anyone has. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna mention if anyone has any questions, we have time for one last one. But in the meantime, if no one has one, I would like to ask if everyone could come to the stage for us to do a quick video of everyone together doing an animation that I think is gonna be pretty cute, and we can post on social media and stuff. Do you mind stop sharing your screen a little bit?
Of
And if
course.
everyone can go to the center of the stage. Everyone that is still here with us, I understand that sometimes a lot of people go AFK to watch a presentation. AFK meaning away from keyboard. So if you guys look here, I'm gonna record you guys on stage. And if you notice on your computer, on the top right corner, there's a little heart. And when I count to 3, I'll like everyone to press it together, and that's gonna create a little heart animation, which is kind of nice. Don't press it yet. If you press it, it's okay. You can just press it again, and it unpresses. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Is everyone ready?
All right. All right. So I'll count to 3, and we all press it. All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Hey. Awesome. Thank you.
Amazing, everyone. It was great to be here. It was a great excursion day for me and my students. I think I wish to see everyone that is here and my students creating spaces in these virtual spaces so that we can see their work.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Karina, for the presentation. Thank you, class, for being here, every guest. And if you guys ever want to create, a digital collection and you need some assistance making a virtual space, that's what we're here for. So you can count on Sunken Blimp. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Thank you, Camilo. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so the dive live is officially over. If you guys want to hang around to ask questions or talk or anything, I'm going to hang out for a